Okay, well, hello everybody and welcome to Research Methods in Clinical Psychology, Measurement and Professional Issues. It's a rather strange way to meet you, I guess, doing this through Panopto, but that's, I guess, the best we can do under the current circumstances at the moment. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to the module. Firstly, a little picture of me and to say who I am and what I do. My name is Dr. Martin Graf, and I'm a senior lecturer in psychology here at the University of South Wales. And if you want to have a look at my website and look at my publications and so on, you can find me there at martingraf.com. Okay, that's a lovely picture of me in my office a little while back. Okay, so my research interests then surround things like decision making in online dating. I've got a research interest in online dating, and I'm interested in decision making, the decisions people make in terms of who they choose, who they don't choose through online dating sites. I'm also interested in what is called validation in social media. In other words, people's use of social media to get likes, to get kudos, and to sort of generally promote themselves through social media, and how that might be related to people's personality characteristics. I've got another interest in what we call perceptions of online cheating, so things like what has been called micro-cheating or online infidelity, which has been in the news over the past couple of years, so kind of related to online dating and online relationships. I've got an interest there in perceptions of online cheating. Emotional expression online. A couple of years back we came up with a scale to measure how people might sort of convey their affections for each other online, how they might sort of convey some sort of their sort of emotional connections then to the romantic partners. And finally, slightly different to that, I've got an interest in how people use smartphones and how people feel sort of compelled, as we all witness probably anecdotally when you're out, you see people using their smartphones in various situations, and I've got an interest in how people might use their smartphones even in potentially fairly dangerous or at least inappropriate situations. We've seen a lot, or we used to see a lot rather, not so much lately since the fines and things were introduced, but people using smartphones while they're driving, and what might motivate people, what might compel people, not motivate really, what might compel people to reach for their phones even when they're driving cars, which could be potentially dangerous or catastrophic situations. So those are my research interests. In this little video now, I'm just going to give you an overview of the syllabus, tell you what the assessments are for this module. I won't mention dissertations because I think someone else is going to mention that to you at some other stage, or already has maybe. I'm going to mention a little bit about CPD, your sort of professional development, and what you need to do over the course of the year in order to submit the coursework for that. There's then going to follow I'll explain about the revision quiz. I'm going to talk about research methods, and then you're going to get a quiz at the end of that. I've still got free lunch there because in the days, or in last year and the previous years when we were running this, we used to give you a free lunch after this session. Unfortunately, today, or whenever you're watching this, sorry, but you're not going to get a free lunch from us. But that's a shame rather, because it was always a nice chance to meet people and chat informally over lunch. Unfortunately, that can't happen at the moment. Okay, so the syllabus then, generally, you can see it in more detail on the module planner, and I'll be introducing content onto Blackboard in the Learning Materials tab every week. But the syllabus basically covers these kind of things. I'm not going to describe them in detail just at the moment, but they cover things like factorial designs, so a little bit on experimental design, and what are called factorial designs. Factorial designs are basically experimental designs with more than one independent variable, called factors often. We can look at multivariate analysis, so analysis which is probably slightly more complex than you've encountered in your undergraduate days. Multivariate analysis is where we have more than one dependent variable. We're going to be looking a little bit later on this term at what is called multiple regression. You might have covered that in your undergraduate days, but we'll look at that in a little more detail. And we're going to look at a statistical technique called factor analysis further on in the term as well. So I'm not going to outline what that is just at the moment, because I'll be going on to that obviously in more detail as we go through. Okay, so the important part then really is the assessment, and we want to make sure that everybody gets all their assessments in and on time and does well. You'll find details of the assessments on Blackboard in the module planner. I will be telling you about the assessments as we go through, but I'll just mention it now just so you know what assessments you can expect to be doing over the course of the module, over the course of the next 6 to 9 months. So assessment 1 then is that you'll design and write up a study using multivariate analysis variance, or what's called analysis of covariance, anything up to 2,400 words, and that is 25% of the your module mark, as is each of the 4 assessments. The submission date for that, I'm sure that's consistent with the module planner, is the 26th of November. For that assessment, you'll work in groups, so you can collect data in groups. I would say up to about 3 or 4, possibly 5 people in a group. You need to get ethical approval from me before you can start your data collection. So for that piece of coursework, and I will reiterate this in future broadcasts, you need to get ethical approval from me about what you intend to do. But you can work in groups, provided of course that you submit work which is your own. So you can use data together, but you have to do the analysis yourself. You have to write up the project yourself. Okay, but I'll say more about that as we get nearer to the time. The second piece of coursework, which is due in next year, you'll be looking at some qualitative analysis after Christmas. And again, you're going to design and write up maybe a questionnaire study or transcribe a qualitative interview. You analyse the data. Again, it's 2,500 or 2,400 words, 25% of the module grade, and that's due in on the 4th of March. Okay, so those are the first 2 pieces of coursework. Okay, the third piece of coursework will be around a meta-analysis. We will cover meta-analysis towards the end of next term. And again, you'll write anything up to 2,400 words to be submitted by the 25th of March. You'll be provided with a data set, so I'll give you some data for you to carry out your meta-analysis. But again, more about that as we come up to it. Okay, and finally, the one I want to kind of highlight at the moment is coursework 4. You hand this in on the 1st of April next year, but you need to start doing this now. So you're gonna look at, you're going to start reflecting on your professional development. Okay, and you will then submit a piece of coursework based upon that. So what you need to do, there are some slides and there's a video on this, which is in this same learning materials tab on Blackboard. You engage in this, you get the hang of what it is, but essentially you're looking at your own development as a clinical psychologist, your professional development as a clinical psychologist. Okay, looking at what your expectations are, what your as we said here, what your limits are, how you might try to surpass those limits. Maybe you look at your training needs and so on, all in relation to the course. And that, as I said there, that's work which will be ongoing through the year. So be kind of warned at the moment. You need to be thinking about that now. You need to be thinking about your own kind of professional development because come April, you need to submit a piece of coursework based upon that. Okay, so in relation to that then, it says CPD there. you need to have a look at the slides. I'm not going to read, there are some slides on CPD. I won't read through them because they're fairly self-explanatory. You can read through those yourself. You can watch the video which is on here as well and get the hang of what CPD is. But it's basically a reflection really upon your sort of professional needs and your kind of professional development in this context of being a clinical psychologist. We'll be, I'll be talking to some slides on here on Panopto about research methods, and that's in this folder also. So I suggest that obviously, hopefully you've looked at this introduction video first of all, then you have a look at the CPD stuff, okay, and then you look at the revision notes. There's 2 PowerPoint Panoptos here, which I'll be talking to just as a kind of like a refresher session, if you like, which will take about just over an hour on research methods revision. Then there's a little quiz at the end of that, okay, which you should attempt on your own. It's just to kind of get you, if that's the right way to put it, in the mood for research methods, which we're going to cover over the next couple of weeks. Okay, and that is the end of this little session on the introduction to this module. I will be putting up, and there should be on Blackboard, a little discussion board. So if you have any comments or queries or questions or anything about the course, if you can post them on the discussion board, and I'll answer those queries then sometime towards the end of the week or the end of Thursday or beginning of Friday. So if you want to post your little comments on there, I know it's not as easy this year as has been before, where people could come and ask me questions. You can post your comments or queries on there. Alternatively, I have an online office hour on a Tuesday between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. What that means basically is that you can email me in that time, and I will attempt, as long as I don't get too many, I'll attempt to answer all emails in kind of almost real time within that hour. So if you've got any kind of questions, you can also come online and email me between 3 and 4 on a Tuesday, and I'll get back to you pretty much as soon as I can within that hour. That is meant to kind of replicate the old kind of office hour we used to have, where people would actually come to my office in Ferndale Building on the campus and ask me questions. We can't have that at the moment, but there is an office hour available between 3 and 4 on a Tuesday, and you can get your replies fairly instantaneously there. Or alternatively, you can post your comments or queries or questions on the discussion board for this module. I'm very sorry that we can't meet in person at this stage. I don't know if hopefully we'll be able to by the end of the module, or if I can pop in at some stage during the module to sort of put names to faces in some respect. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Hopefully it will. Anyway, it was nice to kind of meet you virtually. That's the end of the introductory session. So as I said, if you go through things in the folder in the order in which I put them, in that kind of sequence, and then we'll kind of be up to date for this introductory session. Okay, thank you very much for listening.